Hari Om. Is it audible? Okay. Right. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So we are on the 5th chapter. The question is asked now by Shaibya Satyakama. And what is the question? Athainam Shaibya Satyakama Papracha. First mantra. Sayo havaitad Bhagavan Manushyeshu Prayanantam Omkaram Abhidhyayita Katamam Vavasatena Lokam Jayati iti. If a person does the Omkar Upasana in the whole life as well as while dropping the body, one remembers the Lord as Omkar, then which loka will one attain? That is the question. So in that context, we saw one portion of the commentary of Shankaracharya ji. So the first paragraph, one portion is what we saw. We will again take up from there. Sayah kaschid vai bhagavan manusyeshu manushyanam madhye tad adbhutam iva prayanantam maranantam yavad jivam iti etat. So some rare individual, among so many thousands of them, some rare individual takes up this upasana while living and also at the time of death. Now we should remember here that, see, those who follow the selfless path itself are very less, meaning the path of karma yoga, which purifies our mind, where selflessly one serves the society, dedicating all actions to Bhagavan, doing one's duty as an expression of devotion to the Lord, that itself is few. Much lesser are those who take up upasana. And many will take up upasana also with sakama bhav, with the feeling of desire fulfillment. So one will accordingly, one wants to attain some powers, some enjoyment, some punya karma, some blessing from the devata on whom one is meditating. Or one wants even, to go close to the devata, look like the devata, be in the world with the same devata, all that. And in those also, to do upasana with sakama bhav, even there to do upasana of Omkar is much lesser. Why? Because generally the form is more easy to identify with. Omkar does not have a form. Omkar, as we saw earlier, is Sagun Nirakar Upasana. So though today a lot of people want to say, no, I don't believe in any other form, I just chant Om. So they think Om is only one sound. And they think that devotion is not required. So I will just chant Om. That is because of ignorance. One doesn't know fully what is the Omkar Upasana, what are the prerequisites for it, how it should be done. But the point at the moment here is that some rare person takes up this Upasana. It's not everybody who takes up this Omkar Upasana. Why he is saying that, we will see. The commentary explains. So now that rare individual takes up this Upasana in whole life, not in one portion of life. That is another point. The mantra says, prayanantam, ending with departure, meaning life not in one portion that only for some 1 year, 2 years, or some portion where for fulfillment of desire one wants to do an anushthan. So for that much time one is doing a prayer. No. Shankaracharya says, Yavat Jivam, whole life, and then at the time of death, obviously, if I have chanted and remembered the Lord as Omkar through the life, then I will remember the Lord even at the time of death. Now, such a person, Omkaram Abhidhyayita. Now, we saw the meaning of Abhidhyayita. Beautiful meaning Shankaracharya has given. Abhimukhyena Chintayet. One who has turned towards that Supreme Lord who is as Omkar and who is meditating on that Lord. How? Bahya Vishayabhya Upasamhrita Karanaha. One who has withdrawn the external sense organs. Samahita Chittaha. The mind has become quiet, absorbed. Dha means to place. Hita means to place very well. Samahita means placed extremely well, meaning the mind is not wandering here and there. How is that possible? Our mind wanders in so many upasanas we do. Whenever we chant a mantra, we remember the form. Our mind sometimes wanders. The secret is the next word. Bhaktya aveshita brahma bhavaha. With the bhavana, with feeling of devotion. Bhaktya aveshita. And what is that feeling? That this Omkar is the Supreme Brahman. So that Brahma Bhav, the devotion is having that Brahma Bhav, that this sound is the sound symbol of the Supreme Lord. It's not just some sound to make the mind quiet, but it indicates the Supreme Brahman. So Bhaktya Aveshita Brahma Bhava. And with great intensity, one is meditating on Omkar. That intensity of seeking, that Brahma Bhav that one has, how a person has that Brahma Bhav towards the Sagun Sakar Roop, that same Brahma Bhav one must have towards the Sagun Nirakar also. Very interesting is this play, of Maya. How all the upasanas that one does, Sagun Sakar Upasana, Sagun Nirakar Upasana, Nirgun Nirakar Upasana, in all the three, whatever is the support that I am taking, that support, I must have Brahma Bhav in that. Suppose I am meditating on Lord Shiva. Then my bhavana is Lord Shiva is the Supreme Lord, who is creator, sustainer, destroyer, and he is Brahman who is beyond all this also. That with that bhavana one does upasana of Lord Shiva. One who is doing upasana of the Nirgun Nirakar also will have that bhavana, that these pointers that I am using are pointers of the Supreme Brahman. And that Brahman alone using Maya appears as the world. That is a Vedantic outlook. A Bhakta will say Bhagavan has created this world. Nirgun Nirakar Upasak will say Brahman alone is appearing as this whole world. I am meditating on that Brahman. So one is doing that Nirgun Upasana. There also Brahma Bhav is there. Sagun Sakar also Brahma Bhav is there. In between is Sagun Nirakar. And what we have done today, we remove Brahma Bhav from Sagun Nirakar Upasana. Just Omkar, Omkar, just chant Om. Just sound symbol, quieten the mind, relieve the stress, reduce the anxiety, increase concentration, improve the memory. Arey, Brahma Bhav is important in that. Whichever is the support one takes, the issue is not which one takes. And so many people, when we don't want to do this Saguna Upasana, then we will say no form, no Omkar. We will just um, meditate on the formless. How to do that? One doesn't know. So one does not have an idea. So in the name of meditation, then one is just sitting quietly, observing the breathing, or thinking about blank. There should be no thought in the mind, no form in the mind. But feeling is not engaged. So after a few moments, the mind starts wandering. So that's why he says here, Bhaktya Aveshita Brahma Bhava Omkare. In that Omkar, one must have that Brahma Bhava. Now one can look at Omkar as Supreme Brahman, Parabrahma, or even as the symbol to make the mind single pointed, pure, surrender, whichever way one looks at it. That anyway comes in the reply. So here he says, Bhaktya Aveshita Brahma Bhava Omkare Atma Pratyaya Santana Avichhedo Bhinna Jatiya Pratyayantara Akhilikrito Nirvata Deepa Shikha Samo Abhidhyayan Shabda Artha. Abhidhyana Shabda Artha. So this Upasana is done with great single pointedness. That is what he says here. Atma Pratyaya Santana Avichhedo. So with single pointedness, this Omkar represents this, is a symbol of the Atma. It means Supreme Brahman. With that bhav. And putting aside all the other distracting thoughts. Bhinna Jatiya Pratyaya, leaving aside all the other thoughts about the world, about some memory, some person, some enjoyment, putting aside all that, focusing on Omkar as a Supreme Brahman. And the example given here is like the flame in a windless pot. Nirvatastha Deepa Shikha Sama. So the flame in the windless pot will be very steady. This analogy comes even in the Gita in the 6th chapter. Yatha Deepo Nivatastha. Deepa is a lamp there, the flame. Nivata means no wind. Na ingate, that how that flame will not flicker. So the flame without a flicker in the windless pot. Yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. That is the mind of a yogi who is striving to unite with the self. Same expression Shankaracharya has used here in his commentary, that the mind of this person who is doing Upasana has become single pointed, fully identified with the Upasana that one is doing, Omkar Upasana, and has put aside, has come away from all the other distracting, tempting, worldly thoughts, and is very steady. He is not gone into thoughtless state or not gone into sleep, not wandering in the world. You see, in Yoga Shastra they say there are different states of our mind. Moodhavastha, deluded state, wrong notions one has, even one goes off to sleep. Moodhavastha, Kshipta Avastha, where the mind is wandering. Vikshipta Avastha, extreme wandering. Then Ekagra, the mind has become single pointed. That is this. Ekagra. And then Niruddha, where the mind is completely withdrawn from all thought possibilities and absorbed in that self. So this mind which has become single pointed, no distracting thoughts, that is the meaning of the word abhidhyana. Abhidhyayita was the word used in the mantra. See the prerequisite here. If I am doing Omkar Upasana, these things must happen. That when I am chanting Om, my bhavana is that Omkar is the supreme symbol of the Lord. My intellect is thinking continuously that I am one with that Omkar in my true nature. So the heart and the head integrated together. And there is no human form that Omkar has like other deities. There is no form also. One is just focusing on the sound symbol and feeling the bhavana, thinking that I am that Omkar. If one doesn't want to think I am that Omkar or is not ready to think that, at least one is focusing on that Supreme with the right understanding that this Omkar represents Supreme Brahman. So that understanding is there, then the feeling is there, and then one is focusing. The mind is absorbed. And one has withdrawn from all external activities. One is sitting quietly, withdrawn from all sensory perceptions also, and one is doing this upasana. Consistently, day after day, one keeps doing this. Now, is this enough? No, Shankaracharya has added some more prerequisites here. What are they? Satya, Brahmacharya, Ahimsa, Aparigraha, Tyaga, Sannyasa, Shaucha, Santosha, Amaya, Vitvadi, Aneka, Yama, Niyama, Anugrihitaha. Sa evam yavat jiva vratadharanaha. 9 values he gives here and then says etc. And he says one who follows these values and takes up this yama niyama, this type of discipline of the senses, of the mind, etc. for life, yavat jiva vratadharanaha, and takes it up like a vrata, like a uncompromising commitment. It's not some casual thing, okay, today I will follow Satyam Ahimsa, tomorrow I will not follow. After 3-4 days, I can pick up again. Vrata, like how one takes up a vrata and one just does it uncompromisingly. With that attitude, uncompromisingly, one is living these values. So what are these values he has enlisted here? Satyam, being honest in one's speech, in one's thought, in one's feelings, having integrity of thought, word and deed. Satyam. Ahimsa, minimum himsa at the physical level, because that cannot be avoided. Jivo jivasya jivanam, life subsists on life. So as minimum I can destroy the world for my existence, that much, nothing more than that. Not for the taste buds, not for the enjoyment of the senses. If I can eat plant-based diet, let me eat that. So that way, and more of it is the feeling in the heart, the feeling of not, the feeling of having love, compassion, forgiveness for all, not having malice, grudges, prejudices, aversions, hatred. Then that is himsa, and that mental himsa is more powerful. Physical injury itself is physical fight, and injuring somebody should not be done. But if at all it is done, the wounds of the physical injury heal faster, but the wounds of the emotional attacks and the verbal abuses, etc., they don't heal fast, and they go on for years and years and torment the person. So ahimsa is more at the mental level, that we don't think ill of anybody, feel any such negative emotions, and then hurt them, harm them, injure them. So satyam, ahimsa, brahmacharya, to live in sense control Moderation, if one is a grahasthi, in all sense enjoyments. If one is a sannyasi, then withdrawing from sense enjoyments and living a life of complete celibacy, then that is the brahmacharya. So brahmacharya at physical level, ahimsa at the mental level, satyam at the intellectual level, living up to one's conviction, that is satyam at intellectual level. These three are the fundamental principles of Sanatana Dharma. All other values can be classified under these three. So he mentions that satyam, ahimsa, brahmacharya. Then aparigraha. One does not have too many possessions, or it's not about having less or more. It is about the possessiveness, that one feels that only when I have so much, then I will, I feel secure. You know, those who are sannyasis, they, in the traditional sense of the term, the word aparigraha also is such that they don't collect and keep anything. Even the food, when one gets bhiksha, one eats that food, and if there is some more bhiksha, the bhiksha has come more, one doesn't even keep that. One gives it away, distributes it. Why? Because the thought, one does not entertain that, let me save this for the next meal. One doesn't collect like that. That is the traditional meaning also of aparigraha. Even that food, we just think about it, where the next meal will come from, one doesn't know. Will it come or not, also one doesn't know. Natural human tendency is, let us save this. Here, aparigraha here is, the sannyasi does not even save that, will distribute it, what has to come will come. Because that is the tendency about future, which makes us hoard so many things. What if I need this tomorrow? You think about it, that thought, it is that one thought which keeps us in this situation where we go on accumulating things. How many things we accumulate? You look at our house, 90% of the things in the house, I'm telling you, we won't even be using for at least minimum 5 to 10 years. We would not have used those things at all. They are just there. It applies to many things. Even for me, it applies, books. How many books are here? So many books I would not have read for at least last 5-7 years. But it will be there. Why? Because the thought process is some topic, sometime if it comes up, whenever, maybe I may need that book. So keep it. And it's a nice book. Keep it. Like that, we collect books, we collect things, we collect so many, items, and it is all there. And time to time, like whether it is Deepavali, we take it out and then we clean, again we put it back. Aparigraha means give up what is not even required. When it is required, it will come. Why this is important? The mind will become free. If I declutter my workspace and my home, etc., the mind also gets decluttered. That is one aspect. Second aspect is how much time, energy, effort goes in maintaining all that. Either we have to maintain or outsource it to somebody else. They have to come and maintain, and we have to pay them. So we work hard to pay them to maintain things which we don't need. And so many things we keep just to impress other people. Other day I was reading somewhere some very famous line. Some of you must have read earlier also. We buy things which we don't need with the money which we don't have to impress people who don't care anything about us. How is our life? You think about that. Half the things we have collected. That's why just now this Pongal season went. No? In South, we have one tradition of Bhogi. One day before Pongal is Bhogi. So all old clothes and old things and furniture and some broken things, all that one takes out and burns. Early morning one will burn it. bhogi. The idea is this bhoga vritti which is there, and I sense enjoyments I will have, or this possessiveness towards things and this insecurity, what if I need tomorrow? How many clothes also we have kept like that only? They'll be just there. We would not have used them for years together. Especially, I tell you, this wedding costumes. Once in a lifetime, one is wearing. One is not even wearing that wedding sari or suit again. And how many lakhs and lakhs are spent on that? And then it will be just there. One time one has worn it. That's it in life. Only once. And then one will preserve it and keep it. And then with very great pride, one will pass it on to the next generation, saying, this is my wedding ka juda and this and that, and I'm giving this to you. That lady is not going to wear. She has her own wedding juda. But I'm passing this on, and then pass on. Aparigraha means remove all these. More than removing these things, it is removing the thought process, that insecurity, that what will happen tomorrow. Prarabdha will take care of it already. We have come here to exhaust certain things. That will take care of this body. And Bhagwan is there or not? What is required, Bhagwan will give. That attitude of detachment and anchoring in the Lord is what is important. I'm not saying suddenly now after this class, go and empty the whole house and give away everything to everybody. If you want to do that, is your choice. Whatever you want to remove, give, that is up to you. But the point is this attitude. And when we start giving, then only we start facing this attitude. No, I don't want to give this. Oh, that is very important. Oh, this is emotional memory. This is the first thing I was given when we both met. Hajar memories we have like that, and so many things we have kept. And then why do I not have time to do sadhana? Oh, because I have to do this, or this has got spoiled, or that has to be repaired, or this has to be cleaned. So much time goes in all that. That is called yoga and kshema. Effort to acquire what I don't have and then preserve what I have. In that only whole life goes. And in Kathopanishad it is said that is the reason why the choice of Shreyas we are not able to make. Preyo mando yoga kshemad vrinite. Why do we choose the prayas? That which is pleasant over what is good, that is Shreyas. Why do we choose the pleasant over the good? Because we are pushed by this yoga and kshema thought. What I don't have, I have to run behind that, and what I have, I have to preserve, protect. So most of the time goes in these two only. And Bhagavan says, yoga kshemam vahamyaham. Arey, I am the one who will take care. You just remember me. But we are doing exactly what Swamiji. We don't have time to remember Bhagwan because yoga and kshema. When yoga and kshema is over, then I will remember Bhagwan. Bhagwan is saying, Arey, you remember me, I will take care of yoga and kshema. Don't worry. Our mind doesn't listen. So consistency in upasana will come when these values are followed. And those people who say that, what is the use of just chanting some mantras? It should show in your daily life, in your behavior. This is what is the Shastra is saying. Now, if we are not following that, that is not the problem of Shastra. Some people, they will say, look at this person, they're doing upasana, but the mind is still very selfish, and still there is so much of anger, still there is so much of possessiveness. What is the use of doing all this upasana? But Shastra is saying you follow these values and then do the upasana, integrate both ethical living and the upasana has to go hand in hand. It can't be otherwise. One can't be doing upasana and living an absolutely immoral, unethical life of complete selfishness. Then it's only a dhong. And most of the times that is how it is depicted, whether it is in movies, in serials, in various series, everywhere. So they will show somebody who is a dhongi, who is doing some upasana just to show off to people. Great, one mandir will be there and they will sit together and do the arati and very lavishly, they will celebrate all these rituals and festival and all that. But the life is absolutely corrupt. Why don't we show this, that here is somebody who is living an ethical life and who has this, a very nice attitude of devotion, who is living these values and who is doing upasana, who is a very dharmic person. That is the depiction of the upasak in our Shastra. Now, twisted depictions are given, so people go away from upasana, saying, no, no. Now, what happens? Neither they are changing their ethical life, nor they are doing upasana, living a completely materialistic life. What kind of so-called development and advancement of thought is that? That is literally falling to primitive levels then. Those who are doing upasana, they are branded as primitive. But the real upasak is not at all primitive, he is very evolved in thinking. The ethical life is integrated with the life of sadhana and upasana. They will go hand in hand. Dharma and upasana cannot be separated. By dharma here I mean values, virtues. So these values and the upasana, you cannot separate them. The result will not come. That famous line, no, Ram Nama Japna Paraya Mal Apna. What kind of lyrics are these? You just think about that. Oh, that's what I just said. Ram Nama Japna Paraya Mal Apna. What nonsense is that? If you do Ram Nam Japa, you cannot say ki Paraya Mal Apna. Did Ramji live like that? Who is he? Why should that even lyrics come about? Think about it. These are subtle ways by which we are alienated from our own culture's depth and the beauty and the practices. So, Shastra is very, very, very clear. Do the upasana on the basis of ethical life. If you don't follow an ethical life, upasana result will not come. One may sit and think, oh, I am doing upasana, my mind is single pointed, this, that. It is not going to happen. For that much time, one may feel little bit quietude. That also actually is not real quietude, because if the mind is impure, what quietude it will have? The ability to withdraw itself will not be there. This bahya vishayabhya upasamhata karana will not happen. I will not be able to withdraw. The mind will keep wandering because the impurities are there, the extrovertedness is there. How the mind will focus? Something I'm doing in the name of upasana and calling that as some spiritual pursuit. It will not generate the required result. If we compromise, even in science we don't compromise. If we want a particular result, we have to put the required input. You cannot compromise there. Same way in upasana, it is a proper science. One cannot compromise there, saying I will live anyhow I like, do whatever I like, then go to Gangaji, take one bath, and then I'm purified, and again I can start unethical life, and then I will keep doing this yatra, that yatra, Char Dham and Jyotirling and this and that. One should do all the yatras nicely and take a resolve that I have left this there. That is the purpose of the yatra. This wrong way of thinking, wrong way of living, this impurity, this weakness in my mind. Oh Lord, I am living here. I have come here to pray with this grace of yours. I am dropping this. So that ethical life is a great strength. Then the upasana is built on that foundation. Shankaracharya has made this very, very clear in this portion. So, Satyam, Brahmacharya, Ahimsa, Aparigraha, then Tyaga. Here, Tyaga means the sacrifice of the attachments, meaning the insistence on the results of action, that one has to drop. Gita, I'm taking this from the Gita, 18th chapter, Tyaga and Sannyas. So the attachment to karma phala, one should drop, that is Tyaga. How will one drop? Prasada buddhi. Whatever comes, Bhagwan's prasad it is. I have done my best, dedicating it to Bhagwan. I will accept the results. So accepting results as they come, that is tyaga. And sannyasa is dropping that doership. That I am an instrument, Bhagwan is the karta, I am not the karta. That is called sannyas. So having these attitudes is very important. Tyaga, sannyasa, shaucha, external cleanliness, internal cleanliness, and purity. Shaucha. Then santosha, contentment. If I am discontented with what I have, with who I am, how will the mind do single pointed upasana? Today's world, one thinks that contentment is complacency. We should never be content in life. Shastra says exactly opposite. Contentment is required in upasana also, and contentment is the quality in a devotee which Bhagwan loves. Bhagwan loves such a devotee who has santosha. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridha nischayah. A beautiful line in the 12th chapter. Santushta, who is content, what Bhagwan has given, I am happy with that. Even if I'm striving for something more and new and having goals, etc., it is to manifest potential, it is to serve society, it is to take care of the family. Personally, I am satisfied deep within, grateful for whatever Bhagwan has given me. Contentment and gratitude can go together. Our today's life is very strange, on one hand we will say content, don't be content. If you become contented, you can't grow and you can't progress in life. And now that state of discontentment puts that fellow in so much of stress and pressure and worries, and the person is not happy enjoying what one has. One wants more, one compares with others, feels insecure, feels jealousy. All this one will feel. Now to overcome that, it will be told to that person, just count your blessings, maintain a gratitude journal, have a gratitude rock, have a gratitude box where you can put every day what is your blessing. And whenever you feel low, you remove one chit and see, oh, I am blessed by this. Why don't you develop contentment? I'm not saying don't be grateful at all. On one hand, encourage discontentment. On the other hand, then say that, practice this, practice that. Remove this wrong notion. Contentment does not mean complacency. So, santosha, do the best and be contented with what Bhagavan has sent. Be contented with who I am at this moment. Accept oneself as one is and keep improving. Nobody says you should not strive for the higher, but the insecurity is not required. I can always be happy with what progress I have made, what things I have today. Aspire for more out of inspiration, not out of insecurity. Then there's no problem. So this contentment when one has, then one is able to sit quietly, focus in upasana. Otherwise, what happens? Our upasana is for few minutes, but during that upasana also one is thinking, oh, I have this to be done, I have that to be done, this has to be achieved, that meeting is there, this program has to be attended. Let me finish this japa fast. Om, 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 om. Finish today's mala over. That is what will happen. If contentment is not there, the mind will play the trick that I don't have time enough. I have many other things to achieve because my happiness depends on those things. So the mind can't be living in the present because discontentment will make it extroverted. So please remember, these are such beautiful instructions given, Shankaracharya has given, how to make the upasana very effective. These are values we have to follow. Santosha, he says. Then amayavitva. Amayavitva actually, and then adi aneka. So that's the splitting. Amayavitva means what? In this context, Maya means cunningness, deceit, manipulation. One does not do that. No cunningness and malice and all that. Be straightforward. Arjavam. How many times in the Gita it comes? The very uh, fundamental meaning of Arjun's name is that one who is Riju, one who is straight. In the Gita, it comes again and again. Amanitvam madam bhitvam ahimsa kshantir arjavam. Arjavam is straightforwardness. In the Ramayana also Bhagavan says that. Chala kapata mohi chidrana bhava nirmal man jan so mohi pava. One whose mind is pure, that person will attain me. Who is straightforward. Who doesn't put a false show of, I am so great, I am so knowledgeable, or this and that. Nothing. Straightforward. So many complications in relationships will become simple when people are straightforward to each other. They don't need to play games. How much time we keep on playing games? Here there's no time to do sadhana and get mukti. We have enough time to play games with each other. Why don't you just be transparent? No, I have to hide my weaknesses. I have to show myself as some very great person. And that is how they impress the other person. And then they meet together, they live together. And then they say, oh, this is not who I thought. You are a completely different person. I don't know you anymore. Why all that nakhra is happening? Because each one was not transparent to each other. They were trying to impress the other with something else only. And they got impressed also. And then the reality dawns, this person is not that person is not this, both of them are something else only. All kinds of confusions are there. If we just followed dharma nicely, so many things we would have saved our time. Love, peace, harmony, trust, respect, all that today which is lacking in relationships is because some of these things are not there. And in the name of being modern, liberal, open-minded, we're flouting all these norms and thinking these are stereotypes. These are not stereotypes. These are fundamental values in which we anchor. Then our life is great. Our upasana is wonderful. Upasana cannot give result unless these things are there. So if malice is there, cunningness is there, how will I surrender to Bhagavan? That ego which does not want to show its own weaknesses to others and wants to only hype up its achievements and even sometimes put on a false show of what it does not even have. That is called dambha, hypocrisy, pretension. How will that ego surrender to Bhagavan? Was Duryodhana able to surrender? Not at all. Bhagavan himself came as Shanti Dut and he was trying to capture Bhagavan. And there also Bhagavan showed his Virat Roop. Still that fellow did not understand. Just imagine compassion of Bhagavan. That Virat Roop was shown to him before Arjun saw the Vishwaroop. Still this fellow did not change. He said, no, I have to fight. So this cunningness, manipulation will not help us to progress on the spiritual path. One may achieve some, worldly achievement, and one may feel great, and there are only 10 flatterers who will praise you for it. That doesn't mean anything, honestly speaking. But that is what we are training our children, unfortunately. Be street smart. Be smart, but anchored in goodness, be smart. Now, goodness goes completely. Just be smart and do anything, anyhow, means doesn't matter, and manipulate the means and achieve your goal. What is important is goal. Nothing succeeds like success. And whichever way you get success, finally you have got it. Half of the things that you see in the world, in the media, etc., they will show that, glorifying this. Then what kind of society we are going to build? If this unethical living is hyped up and success is shown, this is success and how this person lives, and how will we create a happy world? So all these points Bhagavan Shankaracharya has given. He says all this and aneka yama niyama and many more such disciplines. Yama and niyama here mean disciplines. Many more such disciplines. Yavat jiva vrata dharana. As long as one is living, meaning in whole life, one should live this uncompromisingly. And there is a different strength in this ethical life. There is fearlessness, there is contentment, there is quietude, there is such strength in that mind. Difficult, most difficult circumstances also one will be able to sail through because of these qualities. Otherwise, today for small things one is getting stressed out and worried and anxious. With all the facilities that we have today, we feel so much of stress, worry, tension, anxiety. You just think about our ancestors. They did not have these facilities, so many luxuries that we have today. They did not have, but their life was much more happier. Why? Because they were anchored in values. No, Swami, their life, the competition was not so much, stress levels were not so much. Put that aside. I am talking about the internal state. I'm sure with their level of ethical living, etc., they would have handled today's stress and competition much more effectively than we are doing today. Because they used to anchor in ethical life, in upasana, live a life of selflessness, much more, harmonious living with nature. So many things. Not that they did not have limitations. There would be challenges even in those times, limitations and the temptations of mind, etc. even are there at those times. But the effort is to live dharmic way of life. You just think, even in terms of the family, earlier there used to be big families, joint families, huge families, staying together. Today we are not able to stay happily 4 people in one house, in a nuclear family. You think about it, what we have come to. Forget 4 people. I am so saying 4 people, I'm saying because husband, wife, 2 children. Today, husband and wife are not able to live happily. Why we have come to that condition? Because somewhere the ethical life we have not understood and given enough importance, and we think it is more theoretical and we have to only, live unethically in the world outside. We can't be ethical. And that lack of adherence to values has permeated our entire life. It's not just related to professional life or some life of some formalities where you're required to do, whether with the government or any other institution. It has permeated into our relationships, into our enjoyments, into our personal life, into our spiritual pursuits. Everywhere this has permeated. As a result, life itself looks hopeless. World looks a pathetic place to live. There is nothing to look forward. Depression is going to be natural then. Why? Because what is there to look forward to? The whole thing will look like a hopeless gone case. Sangharsh has to be done to follow these values, which was there even in those days, against the temptations of one's own mind. One has to put that effort and live. If immediately we can't live ethically in all spheres of life, in some at least we can live. That at least we can start. So all these values very important. So he says yavat jiva vrata dharanaha. Now such a person katam vava अनेके ही ज्ञान कर्म भीर जेतव्या लोकाहा. There are many possibilities of attainment for this person. Because one who is doing this jnana, karma, samucchay. Please remember, jnana here does not mean Brahma jnana. Jnana here is that upasana. So one who is doing the duties, one who is doing upasanas, one who is living this value-based life, which world they will attain if they don't get Jivan Mukti here? That's uh, the hidden portion. What we call it is to be the implied portion. The implication is this, that now if such a person does not attain Jivan Mukti while living here, which world will that person go to? कथं वाव अनेके हि ज्ञान कर्म जेतव्या लोकाः तिष्ठन्ति तेषु तेन ओमकार अभिध्यानेन कथमं स लोकम जयति. Because of this Omkar Upasana, which world will that person go to? Now, why is this question important? Because if you remember earlier in Prashna Upanishad itself, we have done this. In one of the questions earlier, we have done that when a person does sakama karma, desire, fulfillment of desires, etc., one lives an life of enjoyment, senses, etc., and accordingly one gets the result here, and one again goes to Swarga if one has, done that punya karma, so ishta, purta, etc., some charity or some good karmas, whatever one has done, then one goes to Swarga Loka, enjoys pleasures there, again comes back here. Swarga Loka, Pitru Loka, one will go according to one's whatever level one has done, ishta, purta, all that. So karmana devalokaha vidyaya, karmana pitrulokaha vidyaya devalokaha. That's a line from the Veda. So if one has done karma, duties, and one has done some nishkama karma also, a combination of that, karma plus karma, one will go to pitruloka, swarga, enjoy, come back, again continue the cycle. Now if one has done karma plus upasana, then one will go to devaloka. So if this sakama karma has been done to go to swarga, etc., to enjoy, etc., one does rites, rituals, all this, one can go to that devaloka. And if one has done upasana along with that, depending on what bhav that upasana is done, one may even go to the loka of that devata of the upasana, meaning a devotee will go to Krishna loka, Saket loka, even is Krishna devotee. Sorry, Goloka, one is Krishna devotee. Saket, if it is Bhagwan Ram. Like that, Kailas, if it is Shivji, Vaikuntha, if it is Vishnu Bhagwan. Like that, one will attain. That is called Devaloka. Then, based on this, Sakama Upasana, if one has done, one can even get siddhis, one can even get certain powers of that devata, and one can even go to Brahmalok, but one will enjoy there the most refined sense enjoyments there, and one will again come back. Because Upasana is Sakama Upasana. If one has done Nishkama Upasana, then one doesn't go to the loka of those devatas. One gets punya, one gets the satsang, one gets the guru, one starts doing Shravan Manan Nididhyasan and strives for Jivan Mukti. And if one doesn't get Jivan Mukti, one goes to Brahma Loka. From there one gets Krama Mukti if one doesn't have karmas to come back to this world. So one can get Krama Mukti. Now the question here is being asked, which one will this person get if one does Omkar Upasana? Because will that person go to Pitruloka, Swargaloka, or the Loka of the Devata, or one will go to Brahma Loka? Or is there a separate Loka for the person who is doing Omkar Upasana? Because there's not Sagun Sakar Upasana, it's only sound symbol. Where will this person go? This question is important because then based on that also one can choose whether I want to do Omkar Upasana or not. So this is the implication of the question, why he has asked that which result one will get. What will be the goal? I mean, what will be the destination? Where will one reach if I do Omkar Upasana? Because if I didn't get Jivan Mukti here, then what is my condition? And obviously the implication there further is that how will I get Jivan Mukti in this context? If I go to a loka, then what happens? How will I get Jivan Mukti? That's the implication. So what is the answer? That we will take up in our next class. Any questions for today? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.